It's the Elsa Kurt Show with Clay Novak. Conservative views on world news. Brought to you by The Wellness Company. Prepare for the unexpected. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Hi, Clay. How are you?
I'm good. As always, everybody, it's Wednesday afternoon, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just me and Elsa, the entire production team. And actually, I shouldn't even say that. Elsa does all the production. I just
but you do. You get all the topics for us.
I do topics.
Yes.
I do topics. You do production. And then we get on here and I run my mouth and we have a good time for an hour. And we got some great topics today, right?
We have such good topics today.
Almost all, I think they're all election related, which is kind of hard not to. We're 3 weeks out, right?
Yeah. I think it's 20 days or something now?
Yeah,
I think we're at 20 days. Yes.
Well, we'll hit them all right after this.
Yeah, so this one, just before we went on air here, I was just saying to Clay, here's all your behind the scenes stuff that goes on. Very exciting. Not really. I was just last minute uploading a video that I wanted to share with you guys about this very first topic here. And as I was saying to Clay, just watching it again makes my blood boil. And should we go right into it? Do we want to go right into the video?
Let's do just one little setup. So, So this past week, President Obama was brought out of mothballs. This is his first, I think, very public appearance since he stood on stage with President Biden. I don't think there's been I think maybe he's poked his head into a few things, but this is the first one that's caught attention. And the focus of this is for him to come and speak to African-American males, because why? The Democratic Party is not convinced that they are going to vote for Kamala. So this is his pep talk. Would we call it a pep talk?
Well, let's call it a pep talk to start with,
okay,
and then we'll see if we all still feel the same way after the fact. How about that? Okay. All right, here it is.
My understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president.
The level of condescension is off the charts.
Yeah, it's pretty high. And the reaction is exactly that.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about this before we came on air. It's the reaction from the African-American male community has not been what they expected. There is a lot of visceral reaction. I've heard some pretty honestly hateful things towards President Obama as a result of this. This is not going well for Vice President Harris
at all. So, listen, let's break this down, right? So King Obama comes down from his Martha's Vineyard Hill to, give everybody his presents and scold them, literally wag his finger at them, and not just the people sitting there listening to him, the entire Black male American community he is wagging his finger at and telling them, if you're not voting for Kamala Harris, you're a misogynistic, uneducated, terrible person, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I'm very disappointed in you. Who the hell does he think he is?
Yeah.
Wow.
You remember 4 years ago, President Biden, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, which I thought was probably as cringy as it could get talking to this specific demographic, right? It was bad enough that the old white guy, from Delaware of all people was going to talk like that. That was bad. This is condescending. You said it. The level of condescension associated with this is unbelievable. And it's for all the exact reasons that you said. Leaves his 12 or $20 million mansion on Martha's Vineyard with his 20 bedrooms or whatever it is. And, comes down and says, President Trump doesn't relate to you because he didn't grow up like you. Right. That was one of the talking points.
Right.
Right. The rich guy, the guy that just left Martha's Vineyard, who, says, well,
and his private jet, jet. Yeah.
Trump's rich. So he doesn't relate to you, as opposed to him standing there the same way. He also brought up, and I couldn't believe this one. It's not in the clip that you showed, but he said to those young men, it's a good thing Michelle's not here.
Yes, that's right.
As if she was gonna, mommy guilt him on top of everything else, or talk down to him like she was their mother.
Yep.
And this forceful race baiting, that's what this is. Race baiting attitude of, if you don't vote for her, you said misogynist too. That plays into it. Gender plays into it. You're misogynist and you're a traitor. Right. Is really what traitor to your race is what he is saying.
Yeah, that was his, outright message. And of course, the underlying message is that, you need to be told what to do by me because I am smarter and, more everything than you are. So you should just listen to me and do as I tell you to do, because you're really not smart enough to make your own decisions, because there's no possible way as a Black man you could be basing your vote on how this affects your wallet. There's no way you could have made your choice by researching and simply deciding for yourself what you think. I don't think I'll ever be unshocked, unhorrified, probably not shocked, I guess, based on what we already know, but never not horrified that anyone from that camp thought that would be a good idea. Again, makes you almost say, another one of those things that makes you almost say, like, he's so smart. Like, Obama is he is a smart guy.
He's a smart guy.
Right? There's no way around that. Like, I would never take that away. Smart guy, is this deliberate? Is this, another layer of sabotage that, like, we can't stand this woman so much that we're just going to go ahead and sabotage her any way we can? A little obscure way to do it, but I don't know.
Yeah. So if you go backwards and you say, why is this happening? Right. Why did they pull him off of Martha's Vineyard? Why? So there is a distinct movement that they are losing the African-American vote. They're losing a lot of the minority race votes in general. But this is one that I don't think that they ever planned for. Right. I think, the Hispanic and Asian populations, there's some backlash there. And it has to do with the border. So, a lot of the immigrant population that has come here, that has done things the right way over the last 40 years, they have not border jumped and they came here and they worked and they became citizens, or at least got, a green card and et cetera. There's some backlash there. But that was minimal, it was negligible. And I think that they knew that. The African-American male population is not something they anticipated.
Right.
So this is kind of an emergency, like, holy crap, we got to do something about this. And they thought, Obama, he's right. African-American male. First president, he can connect, he can do this, he can do that.
Right. And he, of course, was, so idolized and adored by the masses. And certainly not just by the Black community. He was generally loved and respected and revered. And so they, clearly they're like, well, let's bring out Papa Obama. And he took that Papa role a little too serious.
Not been good. There are a lot of social media influencers, African-American males, who are saying the exact same things you were saying, which is, one, how dare you? Two, I'm not stupid. I don't need you to tell me who to vote for. Oh, by the way, thanks for the insult. There have been some, I did hear, and you don't hear it very often, but I did hear the Uncle Tom phrase.
Oh, yes.
There.
Yeah.
So that is not good.
No.
But there's a lot of very emotional reaction, negative to what he said. I think not even necessarily because of the message, but because of the tone.
Right.
The tone that he came across, you said it. It's the dad, the papa, the whatever, talking down to them and not
this
even,
thing, that alone, I would have broken that damn finger right off his hand so fast.
Yeah.
I'm violent.
It's just bad all the way around.
It is.
So if they can't recover this,
if
they can't recover that demographic, this election's over with.
Right.
And it doesn't take much. I think the numbers I saw when President Trump ran the first time, the black male demographic was like a 92% voted for Hillary, right? And
Right.
then when the last election, it dropped a little bit to like 88% voted for Biden.
Yep.
And then now I think it's down. They're anticipating less than somewhere between 75 and 78% voting for Kamala. So there's been somewhere like a 16-point drop from the time that Trump ran, 8 years ago to now in Democratic support by African-American males.
Sure.
And you can't tell me that it's not about the economy.
Right.
There's no way.
Right. Because that's what it comes down to all the time. You can, use any of those, hot button topics that they try and push as being, the most important things, abortion, things like that, immigration, incredibly important, by the way, immigration. You can push all that, all you want, but at the end of the day, it's about how I'm going to live, how I'm going to survive. How was I living then? How am I living now? And that's what it's going to come down to ultimately. You can have big feelings on all of the other things, legitimate feelings about them and opinions. But at the end of the day, you're going to vote on, what's affecting you and your family the most. So
in the last 20 days or so, give or take, if this didn't work, which I don't think it did, not the way they wanted it to. In fact, it potentially made things worse. But what's the next tactic? I mean, do they bring Michelle out?
Right.
Is that the next move? Do they have another move?
Yeah. I mean, this to me was, such an epic failure of a move. I mean, to bring Michelle out to what? To give, like you said before, now the mom lecture. Well, the dad lecture didn't work. Let's bring mom out so she can tell him what to do. Yeah. She'll strong arm him. And, by the way, does not help all of the memes and things that go on about her, which I'm not going to give any attention to other than to acknowledge the fact that lots of things have been said about the femininity or lack thereof of Michelle Obama. So this type of thing didn't help, him saying what he said, but whatever. That's a whole other thing. I think it distracts from what's really at hand, and we can all have our feelings and opinions about that. But this was a massive misfire, and it's kind of shocking. Again, I have to go back to the fact that it was Obama, their beloved Obama, who misfired so dramatically. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think if they use Michelle. I think they use her in a little bit different capacity. And so there is a correlation. I read this late last week. There's a correlation between female African-American voters and Black African-American voters. In other words, the men do tend to follow or be influenced by the women in their life, whether it's their mother, sister, loved one, girlfriend, wife, whatever it is. There's a correlation there that's been studied over the last, I think, 5 or 6 presidential elections. So I think if they use Michelle, it is going to be to appeal to the female African-American population in a way of saying, hey, get your guy in line.
I see what you're saying.
Get him on board. Because I think the direct approach to the African-American male was, as we've said, is a failure.
Right.
So it's an end around, right? So get their women, to get them to get in line and get, and vote for Vice President Harris. I think that's the only tact left in the very short amount of time there is.
Sure. And it's funny, not in a ha-ha way, in the ironic way that, they've spent this entire time essentially ignoring the African-American community, the Black community, basically ignoring them in place of the migrant community. Their illegals are their big, that's their darling right now. And they have ignored the Black community. Now, all of a sudden, they get the memo that, wait a minute, what? They're voting for Trump? What?
Whoops.
Uh-oh. Quick, let's do something. Obama, get out there, dad them, and then, and of course you got Kamala out there saying free weed, we're going to legalize all the pot you can have and we're going to forgive your loans. And now she's talking about reparations. I mean, this is so obvious and again, so lowbrow and insulting and demeaning to Black men in particular, and the Black community as a whole, to sit there and, affect your BS accents every time you're in front of, one crowd or another. The most recent, somebody said Jamaican was the most recent.
Yes, I saw it. Yeah.
I have not actually seen that one yet. I know slacker. I'm supposed to be on top of everything, Kamala.
Yeah.
I saw the Hispanic.
It's very brief. It's her use of the word man. Like she says, and she says it maybe 2 or 3 times in an interview. It's not much. It's not as significant as some of the other ones that we've even shown on this show. But yes, there's that. And they're, truthfully, the reaction is they're seeing through all of this stuff.
Yes.
The we're going to legalize pot, that most states or many states now it's legal anyway. So that's got very little appeal.
Yeah.
And truthfully, in the states where you've got dense urban populations who she's trying to appeal to, it's already legal anyway. So that's nothing.
Right.
But they're seeing through and feeling it as an insult because it's like, so you think you can buy me off with drugs? Right. You know what I mean? So all of these things that they think are going to work are not working.
Yeah.
The reaction to the, $50,000, business loan that's basically free money.
Right.
Even that's being torn apart. So she's offering, African-American male small business, start a small business. Here's $50,000. It's not even a loan. It's free money. Right. And every business minded person has looked at that and said, except for the fact that I'm going to take the 50, I'm going to open a business. Then you're going to tax me so much in the first 2 years that I'm going to go out of business anyway. So right. They're seeing through every one of these, that they're trying to toss out there. So she's really, really in a hurt box right now with the African-American voters. And I think it's because exactly what you said, they ignored them because they thought it was a given, right? Like they didn't have to earn their vote. Yeah. They were just going to get it. And now they don't have it.
Yeah. I mean, this is, of all of the things that have, they have put on display to prove that they don't care about they don't care about the American people as a whole, but they definitely do not care about the Black community. And as a matter of fact, they want to keep the Black community down. They want to keep anyone who's in poverty down because they want you to need them. Yep. So the sooner, and people are catching on to it, more people are catching on to it. And the more the better, because this is probably the icing on the cake of the don't give a what about you. And this is full on display.
Yeah. And this has been a point of discussion for years, is the government dependency, that the generational government dependency, which, low income housing and welfare programs have generated essentially. Right. I think we're probably less than a generation. We might be one generation away from breaking that. I think that this generation, from what I've seen just in the reaction to this incident or this, issue, is the awareness of that community, coming to grips with the fact that they are being manipulated blatantly, I think is awesome. And I think we're about one generation from, them breaking away from the government dependency model that the Democrats have relied on for 60 years.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. It's it's wonderful. It's refreshing. And who would have thought it would have been at their own hands that they would be the ones, showing their card like this, instead of us constantly trying to expose it and saying, look, can you just look at what they're doing? Like, here's the proof. Come on, please look. And now they're just doing it themselves. They're just showing you how much they don't care. They don't care about you. And, if you think they're going to do these things for you right now that seem to be so good, wait until they get in. It's done for. It's over. Forget about you until the next election cycle, and I pray to God that, we don't have to experience that. Pray to God that, the right things happen. And, we, as they like to say, we turn the page. We turn the page on all of this.
It's about bringing joy. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's all about bringing joy. Listen, we got to bring joy, right?
They're talking about somebody who's posing. Posing is something they're not.
Oh my God. I can't, this guy. There's a lot to talk about with him, and I don't know how much we want to go into here. So of course we have the video that we're talking about, why we're, comparing him to Elmer Fudd.
It never fits quite right. Never fits quite right. Just not quite right. How do you give it back?
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This is a Beretta A400. I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap, because it has a kind of their patented thing at kickoff. So when you get old, it doesn't hurt your shoulder as much.
This guy is he's an embarrassment on a good day. On a good day, he's an embarrassment. Talk to us about the video.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong bird hunter. I've been, pheasant hunting, which is exactly what Governor Walz was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pheasant hunting since I was about 10. So it's been going on for about 16 years. No, I'm just kidding. About 40 years, I've been hunting pheasants. Okay. That for a guy who claims to be a lifelong hunter, like I am, remember, he said he used to carry a shotgun in his pickup truck so he could go hunt pheasants after football practice when he was in high school. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's older than I am. He's been doing this a long time. Right.
Right.
He also claimed in this video where he can't even load his own shotgun. Okay. He says, the whoever's with him says, what kind of gun is that? Governor. And he says, well, it's a Beretta A400. I bought this when I was shooting a lot of trap. Okay. For those of you that aren't familiar with, shotgun target shooting as a hobby, also something I do all the time. You load and unload and reload and shoot and load and shoot and load it over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 25, a box of shells of 25 shells at a time, over and over again. You build muscle memory in an instant. He can't figure out how to load this thing, which he supposedly bought when he was shooting a lot of trap. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also an indicator that he's full of crap.
Yes.
Lifelong pheasant hunter. He's in brand new, right off the Cabela's clearance rack hunting vest, brand new hat. He's got the brush chaps on, right? All of those things. And so all of this to somebody who is a true outdoorsman, for those of us that know, you look at that and you go, no. Like,
right.
My hunting vest, right, is like you shoot a pheasant, you shoot a bird, whatever it is.
It's a little messy.
Something. There's blood involved. It happens.
Sure.
I have blood. Like my vest is dirty. There's blood stains on it. Right. It's this guy looks like he just came out of a catalog.
Right.
And his team sucks so bad.
They're so bad.
Him and 3 guys walked for 4 hours. They saw one pheasant that they shot and lost it.
Oh.
The dogs couldn't even recover it. He never personally fired around. Like, if you're going to do this as a photo op, put the man somewhere where there's some birds.
Yeah,
like,
come on. Yeah.
Oh,
and
but this all shows that the whole I'm a hunter, I'm a gun owner, I'm an outdoorsman. It's all a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. He is a profound liar, like profound. He is. That's all he does. His entire career, his entire existence is based on lies. And he got away with them for as long as he did because nobody was really looking that hard, and now here you are. And he's probably convinced himself that he's a good liar because he's gotten away with it for this long.
Yep.
I don't think he really counted on the level. I don't know how he couldn't have, but I don't think he understood the level of scrutiny he would be under. And how quickly his, stupid lies would be unraveled and uncovered and all of the truths would come out. And, speaking of that, and again, we won't yet go too far into it, but let's touch on the fact, that there are some massive allegations going on.
Hold on one second, because I'm going to applaud my partner, Elsa, right? I don't know if I'm rubbing off on you or what, but Elsa, had a habit for a while of jumping on whatever was the latest thing on social media, and expressing her opinion. I was so proud of you. Was that yesterday you posted that?
Yes.
Or Monday? Either way.
Thank you. Yes.
Elsa got a screenshot of what we're talking about, which is an accusation from an unnamed source that Governor Walz had a illicit affair with a male high school student. And you said, I'm going to take a pause with this. I'm going to wait for more evidence or information before I weigh in. And atta girl. Well done.
Thank you.
Very proud of you.
Thank you. Yes.
Great. I noticed it. I noticed that you did that. And I
makes
felt
me feel
really good.
It does. I'm like, Papa Clay saw me be a big girl. Yay. So, so here's a little backstory. So there is an account on X, formerly Twitter, put out a pretty explosive post or potentially explosive post, basically saying, I am in contact with this person who is now an adult and has made these allegations and has reached out to me. And I am going to give you all of the receipts. And because this is X, you can't post everything all at once. I'm going to do it in a series of tweets, a whole thread, they call it. So he put that very first thing out, put everybody on notice that he was going to be doing this. I screenshotted that, shared it, and said, this is coming out on X throughout the day. I will be watching it to see what comes out. So, which I did. So I'm following it. I think I get through probably about 3 posts, 3 in, the first 3 go up. I read them. I look at all of the information he's put up there, all of that stuff, lots of redacted things, no names, all that kind of stuff to protect the identity, as he was saying. And, just kind of discernment, I guess. It wasn't feeling right. It wasn't vibing. And I don't want to say that I want this to be true because I wouldn't wish that on anyone, any victim, for that to really have happened to them. I would love to see walls go down because I do think he is at the very best of times, a creepy dude. There is no question. So a little more, the alleged, well, you talked about what was alleged, what has been confirmed by their own camp, by the Walls camp, because it looks like they tried to do maybe damage control here. So a while back, I don't have the dates, a little while back, they put out something that said, yes, Tim went to a Indigo's Girl concert with a confused gay student and blah, blah, blah. So they confirmed that this actually happened, that they went to a concert together. So for me, does that mean something indecent or inappropriate happened? Well, I mean, yes, because that alone is inappropriate. Teachers and students do not hang out together.
Correct.
So in the very best circumstance, he made a bad choice. In the very worst circumstance, we already know what the worst circumstance, is, which is what they are alleging, claims to have private personal details that only somebody who would have been intimate with him would know. Lot of stuff flying around. So this thread, on X, is maybe about 14 posts in, I think. I stopped looking at it after about the 3rd one. I said, you know what? This is until you can give us something concrete, until the victim, unfortunately, unless this victim comes forward with this proof, too many inconsistencies. So yeah. And so again, to kind of close up my end of it, I do think inappropriate things happened. At the very least, he took a minor to a concert alone, which is not appropriate. I guess time will tell. I don't know. I don't even think the Walls or Harris Walls camps are even acknowledging this, to the best of my knowledge. Is that right?
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that. And the thing that I would tell most people on the conservative side, truthfully on the Republican side, remember the last couple of Supreme Court confirmation hearings and the accusations that were made, right? And how angry everyone was. And even about President Trump, with this, this woman, there's these accusations, these women haven't come forward over 30 years or whatever it's been. And everybody's like, they made it all up, blah, blah, blah. This has the potential to be exactly the same thing flipped over by party. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So again, think of it in the context of right and wrong, not red and blue, right? And until something provable, something with some merit to it comes forward, this is all it's all white noise, because it doesn't matter, and no one should take it seriously until there is some proof. Yeah. Because when it happened in the other direction, nobody was happy about that. Nope. Right. Right. So it's a lesson for everybody. But again, very proud of you for not overreacting and jumping in with both feet. So
yeah. And again, I would love to see Walls go down in flames, honestly, politically, socially. I would like to see that, because I truly do believe in my heart that he is a terrible person. And I don't trust anything about, he grosses me out to an extreme that I actually, like, if I saw the man in person, I think I would physically recoil. He's so gross.
Yeah.
So again,
We
just
said
a personal opinion.
We said it before, ick factor. He's got a high ick factor.
So,
There's nothing tangible. It's, you know,
yeah.
I think for me, it's still the way that he treated his son, you know,
Yes.
dragging him, you know, that right there was enough. But
Mhm.
I don't wish, like you said, I don't wish this on anybody, but I think everybody needs to take a breath, wait for something legitimate to come out of this before we go too far.
Right. Yeah. And at the very least, you know, if you want to look at it, and if none of the other ways to look at this are effective, look at it from the personal sense of, I don't want to be the one that looks like an idiot. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the one that looks stupid for jumping the gun here and, you know, running with something that, you know, is not accurate. So we will wait. We will watch and see what happens with that. And of course, if we get anything really tangible, you know, we'll certainly address it. We'll share it, obviously, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Want to move on?
Yeah.
Let's move on to this guy. Love this guy. Love this. This was so great.
Yeah.
Great.
He continues to knock it out of the park. I mean, every public appearance, every instance, he is on his game. The messaging is very clear. He's not taking any BS from it, and he jumps on
Incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Yes. So first, Martha and her ilk are despicable. Honestly, I find them to be vile, despicable people. The level of venom and open contempt and hatred that they show without disguise, without reserve towards JD Vance, towards President Trump, is so unprofessional and disgusting and should not be accepted at all. This is so disrespectful that, and the American public on that side of things sits there and goes, oh, that's so good. You got him. No, you're supposedly a journalist. Okay. Do your job the way it's meant to be done. Ask your questions. No, you know, I mean, it's so gross, but
yeah, it's the disregard for the American public in the sense that, you know, everybody who lived in those handful of apartment complexes, right, were victimized, right? And listen, I've seen photos from when this was going on, right? When it was a live problem. You know, you're talking 20 apartments, right? In each, so 60, right? Let's just throw 60 out there.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 6. It doesn't matter. If you've got Americans, just like, you know, Senator Vance said, if you've got 60 Americans, families or individuals being victimized by illegal aliens, by a gang, you just turn around and say, well, it's just a handful. It's a handful compared to what? Because if you're living in that apartment complex, Martha, which you would never do, a handful wouldn't matter if you're in the handful.
Yeah.
Right? You can't minimize the impact on American citizens like that by saying just a handful. Like,
can you imagine those people if they were watching that, you know, those families that were literally terrorized by these illegal gang people, Venezuelan? So they were Venezuelan gang members who terrorized. And you're sitting there watching this broadcast and hearing this woman say, well, it's just a handful. So like big deal, like big whoop, stop making a big deal about it. Wow. And JD Vance, man, like you said, that guy, he's just on fire, doesn't miss a thing. And I'm so glad as soon as he said, do you hear yourself?
That's beautiful.
You know, that was Phenomenal.
Such a great line, because it puts all the onus back on her, every bit of it. She can't deny it because she said it, right? And it's like, are you even listening to yourself? Like, you are justifying, minimizing, whatever you want to call it. You're making this okay. You're making this smaller than it is because it doesn't affect you. And you want to get your message across, and you want to lambast President Trump, and you want to, build up Vice President Harris and all this crap. And you're doing it at the expense of the American people. It's despicable. It's gross, is what it is.
Yeah.
And this is as bad as the 60 Minutes thing.
Yes.
It's just two examples of crap journalism. It's not even journalism. That's what, that's what they're claiming it to be. But it's just gross.
Yeah. It's so insulting. And, and I say a version of this every time we talk, like, as I look in my comment sections and I see these people who are so brainwashed into believing that this is acceptable, and not only acceptable, good and applaudable, that, this is the way that they're speaking to presidential and vice presidential nominees and calling themselves journalists as they're doing it, unbelievable. And I can tell you, well, I don't know for sure. We'll see. Bret Baier is going to be talking to Kamala Harris. Right. And I feel safe saying that he is going to be respectful and polite. Now, lots of people have opinions about Fox, whether how conservative they really are and all this is. Set that aside for a minute. We're Fox is considered to be the other side, right? The counter to CNN and all of these other ones. And yes, I know there's going to be people commenting, that's questionable. Just go with me for a minute, right? No matter what, I know he's going to be respectful and polite, and hopefully he's going to press her and make her answer the questions, or point out at the very least that she's not answering the questions. She'll do her word salads. My biggest contention, just to kind of sidewind on that a little, my biggest contention with that actually is that it's not going to be live.
Yeah. And we all thought it was going to be, until I think this morning it came out that it was going to be recorded, but it's going to be unedited. I know that Bret Baier is smart enough to know that he is going to be under scrutiny for no matter what he does.
Yes.
So if he pushes too hard, it's a tightrope that he's going to walk. But if he pushes too hard, it's going to look bad. If he doesn't push hard enough, it's going to look bad. Like he's in an unenviable position, but it's going to be the toughest interview that she's going to go through.
Yeah.
But back to this thing with Martha, could you imagine? And again, let's say 60, right? Let's just say 60 apartments.
Yeah.
We have less, how many school shootings are there a year?
Right.
Right. I mean, 5 nationwide, less probably. Could you imagine if a reporter said it's just a handful? It's just a handful of school shootings.
What a great comparison to make. Yeah, absolutely.
Holy cow. Like the roof would come off. That person would be fired. Like it would be,
gone.
And you're talking about violent crime, right? No matter what, it's horrific. It's not something anybody wants, but she minimized it. And that's what's unacceptable. And I love the fact that he called her out, and he did it with no hesitation whatsoever.
Oh, he called her out good.
Yeah.
He called her out good. Yeah. And, and just the fact, just acknowledging that fact that this is America. This is the United States of America. And since when is it acceptable for anybody to come in and terrorize people and take over establishments like it's, the wild, wild west here? It is not.
Yeah.
This is civilized America. Unacceptable, no matter what, whether it's 1 or 100 or 1,000 or 2, doesn't matter the number. This is America.
Yep.
Unacceptable. So good on him.
You know who gets it? Who gets it?
I know who gets it.
16,000 Border Patrol officers who get it. And that's why they came out this week. And we've talked about the unions, right?
Yeah.
We've talked, a couple of weeks ago, it was the longshoremen. We took, and not all unions are created equal. Let's get that straight. Okay. Teamsters said, we're not endorsing anybody, right? They said, we're not doing that. The firefighters union said, we're not endorsing anybody. But now you've got the Border Patrol. I think it's their union, but I think it's called the Council, the Border Patrol Council, I think is what it's actually called. But it's their employee union has come out, press conference and everything, podium, the whole 9 yards. And they endorsed loudly President Trump over Vice President Harris for this election.
Yeah. Yeah. It would have been shocking if they didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think even if they took the Teamsters tact or the fireman's tact of saying we're not endorsing anybody, that would have been a statement in and of itself.
Sure.
But I think, a lot of people have a problem with this because they are federal employees, but they are, and they are unionized.
Right.
But, that's an employee base because it's the employees that are saying this. And that's, it's a big deal for them to weigh in on this as law enforcement and really the people who are sitting at ground zero with the border issue, with the open border, closed border issue. Nobody knows this better than they do as to this past 3.5, almost 4 years and the 4 years before that. Yeah. Nobody knows better than they do.
Absolutely. What do you think the reasoning is that they waited till now to do it? Do you think this was like a contentious thing within the union, that there wasn't a consensus and that they had to, because this is like down to the wire, really?
I don't know if it's I doubt it's a consensus issue. I'm sure that the vast majority, I would bet it's not even close, support President Trump.
Right. That's what I would imagine too.
But what I think, if there was a deliberate reason for the delay, for the timing of this, I would assume that it is, it probably has to do with the leadership would be my guess.
Okay.
Right. So you've got, the Border Patrol leadership was probably trying to minimize this as much as humanly possible.
Sure.
But the badged officers, the guys who are out there on horseback and in their white SUVs and driving the fence line and running around up on the New York State Canada border and all that stuff. Those are the folks that said this. And, I would bet it has something to do with the messaging and less to do with the timing, but I don't think it's a consensus issue. I really doubt that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would find it hard to imagine that would be the case. But, the only thing I could say is her most recent publicity stunt, well, it wasn't the most recent, but that being that it was really a blatant publicity stunt. I think that the word is that she was essentially there for about 20 minutes when, her little border visit there, gave a little handshake, pretended to be really interested in what they were saying, and then, the heck out of there. That could not have done her any good.
Yeah. I wonder if that's a great point. I wonder if that pushed them over the edge. Maybe they were at a point where they were just not even not going to endorse anyone, but they might not even have said anything, just like not taking a public position and not even taking no position publicly, just let it go and roll through the election. But you never know. I mean, that little publicity stunt could have really, really pissed them off and drove them to make this decision. That's a great point. I'd forgotten about that. And that was the first of 2 in a week. I mean, did you hear about the whole cargo plane? North Carolina.
No, I don't think I did. No. Tell us.
After everything that happened with the hurricane, Helene, she went to I don't know where exactly, but she did go to where there was an Air National Guard C-17 aircraft, big jet cargo plane. Okay. And they were made to load relief supplies onto this plane for backdrop. And it was in North Carolina. The plane wasn't going anywhere.
Oh.
Like they literally loaded it with no intent of that thing ever flying. And it was all for backdrop for her photo op. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's been I have heard that confirmed by a number of different sources in a number of different places. So yeah, I think a couple of those bad, optics in 1 week have not done her any favors. And that's a great point. I wonder if this one just pushed the BPS folks over the edge and they were just like, you know what, screw it. And they, endorsed Trump.
She has made such a long series of missteps, understatement.
Her team sucks. They are so bad. It's unbelievable.
And it's like, again, how is this not deliberate sabotage? How is this genuinely accidental? I mean, you have Biden throwing her under the bus, right? Backstabbing her, right? Like more than once, a couple of times, too many times for it to be just old senile Joe, those were pretty deliberate.
Well, and
And
the discussion I saw just the other day on that topic specifically, that was Kamala Harris's team, Vice President Harris's team, is upset with the White House staff because the White House staff hasn't been coordinating events with them, so they're deconflicted. And the White House turned around and told them, that's not how this works. Like, we're the White House, he's the president, you coordinate with us.
Right.
We're not working around your schedule. You come and talk to us. You're still the subordinate, like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a huge thing too, is that it's just bad.
It's so bad. Yeah, you got to figure that Jill is sitting there and, steam coming out of her ears, that this chickie here, she thinks she's running the show. I'm still in charge here.
I got 65 days left. Or whatever it is. I'm sure.
And I'm going to make it worth every minute. And we're going to, to be a fly on the wall with all of those things. But, but there's a lot of, deliberate, accidental sabotage. Did you see Bill Clinton? Did you see Bill Clinton? Did you see that one? I have. Here's what I have.
Another related to the border.
Yes, with Laken Riley basically calls out this administration on that. That was a shocker. So you have Biden. Technically, you have Biden, you have Clinton, and you technically kind of have Obama throwing her under the bus, whether it was deliberate or not, basically just shining that light of incompetence right on her. And if you haven't seen the Bill Clinton one, I'm going to show it to you, but unfortunately you're stuck with one of my impersonations too, because it's part of a little montage I did of all three of them.
Right. Listen, here's the thing. I'm very happy and privileged and proud, really, to know and share with you that I have the full support of my colleagues. Bill Clinton.
Got a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Right. Not to mention Barack Obama. Okay.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president.
And not least of all, my guy, my buddy, my pal, right? My friend, Joe Biden.
The governor of Florida has been cooperative. He said he's gotten all that he needs. I talked to him again yesterday, and I said, no, you're doing a great job. It's all being done well. We thank you for it. And I literally gave my personal phone number to call.
I mean, I don't know. How are these not calculated moves to undermine her and make her look bad? There's a lot of coincidences otherwise.
Yeah, it's we've talked about all these, most of these individually, and collectively, it looks 10 times worse. It's a lack of coordination. It's a lack of, and you'll have people that'll say, oh, well, she just got thrown in the race. It doesn't matter. Like these, Bill Clinton knows what he's doing. He's, and that day, President Biden took the good meds. He knew what he was saying too. Right. And we said President Obama was probably trying and failing miserably, which is not like him. No. He's about the smoothest talker around. And it all looks bad. And, I still say, I stick with this. I still say they gave up on this campaign a long time ago. This is about, they're just getting through it. It's about 2028. And, they're just trying not to lose the down ticket. I'm convinced they don't. It's not a matter of even being deliberate. It's a matter of them just not caring. Yeah. They just don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like every single person in that administration is on vacation, is just coasting out the remainder of the time here, partying in the halls of the White House, probably got more bags of, no, I'm not going to say it. I'll let it go. I'll let that go. Let's just leave it at they're probably having quite the good old time there.
Yeah, and it'll probably be, I don't know if you remember this, when the Clintons left the White House. Do you remember them with the keyboards? You remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well,
Right.
lots of shenanigans, I'm sure,
Right. They
going
popped
on.
all the W's off of all the keyboards,
Yeah.
right? Because they were coming, Bush was coming in behind them.
Mhm.
I think you're going to see some of the same petty BS, as the
Yeah.
Biden administration leaves. No,
Yep.
truthfully, no matter who wins, but especially if Vice President Harris loses, which she's probably gonna.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see the same petty crap come out of the current administration. It's
Mhm.
shameful, but I think it's a gimme. But
Yeah.
we keep having. There's more examples of just how somebody used the word smarmy the other day, which I hadn't heard in a long time.
Yes.
But that's
So appropriate.
It's
Yeah.
pretty fitting, right?
It is.
Smarmy, because we've got this now, right? We've got you say it because
Let's see if I can do it. I wrote it. Can I say it? Lama plagiarama. I did it right on the
Close
first
enough.
try.
Close enough. Yeah.
I think
Yep.
so. Lama plagiarama. Yeah, we're going with it. Lama
Sure.
plagiarama.
There we go. Hey.
Don't make me say it 10 times fast.
Yeah.
Yes. So Cammie caught out. And again, as you have said in the past, the interneting, right? You say it better. It's not even
The internet does what the internet does.
It sure as heck does. And sure enough, somebody came up and did some research on her book, and I may have taken a little liberties with the book cover there. Hang on, we gotta move the banner out of the way. Amateur hour over here. Good grief. But yes, so back in, what is it, 2009?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Cammie wrote a book about being what is it again? Tough on crime? No, what is it? Oh, smart on crime. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Smart on crime. Duh. And somebody, one person finally read the book and said, wait a minute, I don't think she wrote this. And sure as heck, not only did she lift some phrases here and there, some terminology, whole sections lifted, copy and pasted from Wikipedia.
Of all places. Of all places.
Come on. Oh,
Listen,
I can't.
Wikipedia, you can't even use Wikipedia as a source for
you
any
can't.
research whatsoever. Like no high, university, no higher education establishment accepts Wikipedia as a source. Nobody,
Right.
because it can be edited by anybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you're right. Lifted whole, sections out of there, and it's blatant. I guess this guy is like super Snopes. Like this is all he does is researches people's research and goes through and checks their sources. And I don't know. He seems like he should be a character on Big Bang Theory or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
But he found all of this. He checked sources and came across this and it looks really bad.
Looks so bad. But and the thing of it is, and I saw this, and of course I made a video about it, mocking her for that and everything. But the thing of it is, honestly, like there's this general consensus among people who saw this and know about it, and that like it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. It does not matter to the left that their installed nominee is a plagiarist, is a liar, is a panderer, is an idiot. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. And, that's the most disheartening part, when you still see people who are like, I'm with her, whatever stupid things that they say. Like they don't even care enough to come up with a new slogan for her. Like, isn't that from Hillary? The I'm with her. They're like, I'm with her. Okay, well, I guess I'm with her now. Like that's what they should have underneath now. In parentheses, I'm with her now. That was the first
slogan that came out. It came out the day after she got named. I wrote a blog about it because I was like, wait a minute, like they knocked the dust off.
Recycling? She's not even worth a new slogan, guys. Come
terrible.
on. Yeah, so bad. Ugh.
But you're right. So few people care. Truthfully, they've made up their mind. It doesn't matter. When is it going to matter? I'm sure after the election's over with and when she's unemployed, there will be a publisher somewhere, not her publisher,
no,
but the publishers of the people that she plagiarized and the people that she plagiarized, if they're even still alive.
Yeah, right.
They are going to come after her.
Yeah,
I guarantee it. Especially the authors that she plagiarized. There will be a civil lawsuit. Somebody will, because I'm sure she made a bunch of money off of that book. And
of course,
a bunch more, because people are going to buy it just to see.
Right.
And so they will sue her for plagiarism, and they will take her, not that she mattered, not that that matters, but they will take her royalties.
Right.
And, eventually that book will go out of print because it's that her publisher is going to be forced to take it out of print is my guess.
I mean, let's face it, we're all pretty sure it's in the Barnes and Noble discount bin there, 75% off. It's probably like $1.29 now.
with tax.
With tax, yeah.
Which in California makes it $13.
Yes, exactly. Oh my goodness gracious. So I mean, what's going to come of that? Nothing other than all of us going, just another thing to tack on to this big.
Oh, will Brett Baer ask her about it?
Oh, I hope so. So Brett Baer posted on X asking people, what do you want me to ask her?
Yeah.
And a lot of interesting things there. But yeah, that's definitely high on the list, like call her out on this. What do you have to say about it? So many things that I really, really hope that he asks her and then follows up on and then presses for an answer. Although, I don't know how much he can press. He's got 30 minutes, right? It's a 30-minute interview. So
they're saying 20 to 30 minutes of content on X. And this is going to be our game for the week, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because we are going to talk about this next week.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'll promise you right
heck
now.
yeah. That may, depending on how that all goes, it may be a whole episode of its own, right?
We may get an hour's worth of content out of her 30 minutes of content.
Yes.
But
there's no question about it.
The question right now is how many questions is he actually going to get to ask her?
Right.
Because she's going to go into delay, right? She's going to drag these out. She knows there's a clock running. So she's going to keep the answers. She's going to make them as long as possible. And oh, by the way, I'm also going to speculate that she's going to use the debate tactic of he's going to ask her a question.
Yep.
And then she's going to go, well, let me go back to that last question.
Right.
And go.
Right.
So I'm going to guess the over under on true questions, not like, we're not talking Barbara Walters. What kind of tree would you be? Like real questions. I'm going to set it at like 6. Like he's going to ask no more than 6 real questions in the 30 minutes that she's there. Yeah,
because it takes her 20 minutes just to get the first part of the answer right. She has to do all of her filler stuff. But listen, let me be clear. And in terms of, and the significance of, and
did you see she explained all of that?
What's that?
The Charlemagne the God interview that she just did, he asked her about all of that. And what she basically said, talk about telling America you're stupid. Yeah. She said, well, I repeat things because that's the only way people learn. People don't retain things unless you say it at least 3 times. That's why I keep saying the same things over and over and over again, is so that people remember them.
Because we're so dumb. But we remember how to be unburdened. And we remember, the significance of the passage of time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to ripping it to shreds, to be perfectly honest, and having some video content to make from it, some more mockeries of her and all that. Listen, I have some exciting news. I don't know if you saw this yet, but
I did.
Did you see?
I did.
Guys, I got my page back. I got my Facebook page back. So I found out completely by accident. I was going to share something from the new page to my personal page, and I started typing in my show name, The Elsa Kurt Show, and the original page name came up. So if you don't know, maybe you know, the new page is called The Elsa Kurt Show 2.0. The old page, the original page, was simply called The Elsa Kurt Show. And that name came up, and I'm looking at it, and I have this huge moment of confusion of trying to understand why that's there. It's supposed to have 2.0 after it. What's happening? And then dawning is coming over me, and I'm like, I click on it, and it's my darling. It's my page back. I can't even get over it. But yes, I came back to it. It's here. It's fully functioning. I am back on it 100%. And this was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday or the day before. I opened it up to see that it was at 169,000 followers. Today it is at 177 or 78,000 followers. It's just, I'm so humbled and so grateful, and still in shock that it's back. So if you guys didn't know this, if you haven't been following along with the saga, there's the whole story in a nutshell. The Elsa Kurt Show is back. We're keeping 2.0 as a backup page. Big exciting news number 2. My book series, Welcome to Chance, is re-releasing on my birthday, October 24th, blah, 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 yada, yada. I'm so happy. Clay, close them out with all your info.
No, it's great. That's fantastic. I saw it yesterday. So happy that you got your page back.
Thank you.
because what that means for us and for the viewers is that they can watch it live on Facebook again.
Yes.
Live being the live release of a recorded episode.
Yes,
not live. Right? But they can watch it on Facebook, which we used to have a ton of people and great interaction when it was on there. Glad to have that back. It's a great place for all of our listeners, especially if they don't like YouTube. But lots going on, and we will talk about Kamala and Bret Baier next week. That's a guarantee. Can't wait for it. And until then, as always from me, keep moving, keep shooting.
Thanks, guys. Take care.